Hello and welcome to Mississippi Insight. I'm Byron Brown. Thank you for joining us. This morning, we're looking at a big change for unemployment benefits in Mississippi. Governor Tate Reeves says the state will opt out of extended federal benefits for unemployed Mississippians. We'll talk with the man who administers our unemployment services to see what benefits the jobless will have left. Also, Mississippi football great Brett Favre promised to return more than $1 million in welfare funds. A year after that pledge, he still got hundreds of thousands of that improperly dispersed money in hand. MississippiToday.org investigator Anna Wolfe updates her probe of corruption in the state's welfare programs. Our first guest this morning is Timothy Rush. He's the Deputy Executive Director for Reemployment Assistance at Mississippi's Department of Employment Security. He administers the state's unemployment assistance programs. He's well placed to give us an overview of our unemployment picture and the impact of the governor's benefits announcement. Timothy Rush, welcome to Mississippi Insight.
Thank you, Byron. Good morning.
Good morning to you. What is the current jobless rate in Mississippi, and how many Mississippians does that represent right now?
Well, the number of people we have filing for unemployment benefits is a little different from your question. So let me just respond to what I have available to me regarding the number of people that we have currently filing. We have a little bit over 100,000 individuals who are currently filing for unemployment benefits. Of that number, approximately 89,000 are being paid or receiving unemployment benefits.
What are unemployed and Mississippians getting right now in terms of state and federal jobless benefits? And what happens come June 12th?
Well, currently the unemployment program for Mississippi under the CARES Act is paying individuals who are filing for what we refer to as regular benefits. Those who are filing for PUA, which are normally referred to those who are self-employed, or those individuals who are normally not covered under the regular program, and then individuals who've exhausted regular benefits, which are receiving the PEUC, which is the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation benefits. And then there's a small group of individuals receiving the mixed earners unemployment compensation. So of that total of about 89,000 paid individuals, the average payment for a PUA claimant is $123 a week. For the Pandemic Emergency Compensation group, it's approximately $177 a week. And then in addition to that, every person who qualifies for at least $1 from any program gets the additional $300 of unemployment benefits, which is the amount that's being paid now. Initially, when the program started, it was $600 a week, and currently it's $300 a week. So for an individual who's receiving regular benefits at a maximum amount of $235 plus the $300, that would be $535 that an individual could be receiving for unemployment benefits at this time. This program was initially scheduled to end in September. The governor elected, like some other states, the governors, to opt out of the program. It was not a mandatory program; it's a volunteer program. And the decision was made to opt out of the federal program, and that program for Mississippi will end June the 12th of 2021. So approximately another 4.5, 5 weeks of benefits filing for those who are entitled to benefits.
And so that extra $1,200 a month that Mississippians are receiving, that will go away come June 12th. And because there's been a lot of talk of Mississippians, many of them are making more on unemployment than they are going to work, and that's why the governor, I guess, decided he wanted to end the program. And so are Mississippians making almost $2,000 a month now on unemployment with this program?
They could very well be making that, Byron, if you consider the individual who is receiving a maximum claim, which is $235 plus the $300. at $535 a week in 4 weeks, that would exceed $2,000, yes.
Does your agency consider what the state provides for compensation to be adequate for your clients and their families, given what the state currently gives as far as unemployment?
I think so. An assessment hasn't been made in terms of what the median wage earning is for Mississippians regarding unemployment compensation. I do know the last time I had a chance to look at a report in comparison to bordering states, and maybe including Florida, Mississippi was in the median area in terms of unemployment compensation versus the average income for those individuals in those bordering states. We are not the highest paying weekly benefit amount state in the nation. However, compared to what the average income is, it appears to be moderate to the average wage earner.
We'll have more with Timothy Rush with the Department of Employment Security when Mississippi Insight continues. Who are today's unemployed in Mississippi, and which parts of the state are especially hard hit by unemployment?
This has to do with the individuals who are currently filing for benefits. I wasn't able to readily match the job openings around the state with individuals who are filing for benefits. But for instance, the top 20, I'll list the top 5 of the top 20. If you want to go a little deeper than that, we'll be glad to explore that, Byron. Those who are receiving regular benefits, those who are receiving PUA benefits, and those who are receiving the emergency benefits. For the regular benefits, the top 5 cities, are Jackson, Mississippi, Gulfport, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi, and Vicksburg. And these are the top 5 counties, or cities, I keep saying counties, cities where individuals are currently filing for unemployment benefits. For regular benefits, for the PUA, which are basically those individuals who are self-employed and who don't qualify for regular benefits, the top 5 cities are Jackson, Mississippi, Gulfport, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Greenville, and Biloxi. And then for individuals who are receiving the emergency compensation, the top 5 cities are Jackson, Gulfport, Hattiesburg, Biloxi, and Greenville. So there are different groups of individuals who are currently filing out of the 89,000 who are unemployed in various parts of the state.
What trends do you see in terms particularly of skills and educational levels that job seekers may be missing?
Just talking to the director, job service, I think technological skills are needed. In some cases, I know there are factories who closed down. However, the Win Job Center has partnership with workforce development to provide training and assistance to those individuals who lack skills. When an individual registers for unemployment benefits, they have to register for job service assistance as well. And in that, they establish a profile that tells them whether or not they're job ready to enter back into the workforce with a job that may be in their close proximity. They can list the distance of miles that they're willing to travel for work. And if there is a job listed in our job bank within that radius, it will tell them, who that employer is or where that job is, and they can arrange an interview. It would also tell them if there was a skills match ranging from 0 to 100 in terms of their education, their work experience, and the distance of travel to the job, and also their preferred wage. And if there is a match, I don't know what the cutoff number is, maybe 85 and higher, then it will give them a referral opportunity. If they need additional training or skills to meet that particular employer's job expectations, then they can follow up with the WIN Job Center staff, and they will assist them in assessing what their skills gap is and get them the training that they need.
How do we compare as far as unemployment now compared to where we were a year ago?
Looking back over the number of claims filed this time a year ago, weekly certifications where we were paying individuals. Most recent weeks, approximately 89,000. This time last year, first part of May of last year, we were looking at over 218,000 weekly certifications. So that number has dropped tremendously since that time period. However, if you go back to approximately January or February of 2020, we probably had about 6,500 or 7,000 people filing for unemployment benefits. So even though we are below what we were a year ago, we still are 80,000 plus individuals filing. Of the current 89,000 individuals who are getting paid, approximately 15,000 of those individuals will be eligible for benefits past June, or should I say, once we exit from the federal program. So the remaining individuals, there are approximately 40,000 individuals who are receiving benefits from PUA. There's approximately 33,000 receiving benefits from the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program. So we're talking roughly about 70,000 people who will be in need of a job or income, should I say, after the program expires June 12th.
Timothy Rush, I appreciate you talking with us.
Thank you, sir.
All right, good information. Up next, journalist Anna Wolfe discusses Brett Favre, the Mississippi Community Education Center, and the welfare funding scandal. You're watching Mississippi Insight on WJTV. Welcome back. It was 1 year ago this month when the state auditor made a startling announcement about Brett Favre. The Hall of Fame football star and native of Kill, Mississippi, had received $1.1 million in welfare money from the Mississippi Community Education Center. Favre agreed to pay that money back to the state, but while he did turn over $500,000, he has yet to return the remaining $600,000. Our next guest can help explain what's going on with this money. Investigative reporter Anna Wolfe has been reporting on Favre's payment and the broader scandal over corruption in Mississippi's welfare program for almost 3 years now. Anna, welcome back to Mississippi Insight.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk a little bit about what's going on with the nonprofit education group and the massive amount of money that's going on with Brett Favre.
So you said it. He promised to pay back the rest of the $600,000 after paying back an initial $500,000, and we haven't seen any more communication from him about doing that. We're awaiting trials for the principals of the nonprofit, the Mississippi Community Education Center. So we're mostly just awaiting, a trial and a forensic audit being conducted at the Department of Human Services, which is the agency that administers the welfare money. And the forensic audit should tell us a little bit more about what happened and how the money got funneled through that nonprofit.
What has Brett Favre said in response to your latest findings?
Yeah, I don't think he said anything. So I had called him several times over the last year trying to get some sense of, why this happened. Why did he receive the money in the first place? Several text messages and just real silence from him on this issue. He was paid $1.1 million from this nonprofit to do marketing for a anti-poverty initiative called Families First for Mississippi. The auditor says that he was contracted from the nonprofit to do some speaking engagements and found out that he never attended those events. He says on Twitter, of course, that he did numerous ads for Families First. But I think it begs the question, why is a famous athlete receiving $1 million to do ads for a charity?
And I understand you spoke to his agent. What does his agent tell you?
Yeah, his agent, I visited him at his house in Hattiesburg, and he basically had no information. So he said that he wasn't involved in the contract between Brett Favre and Mississippi Community Education Center to do these supposed ads, or any other ventures with the nonprofit, and that he wasn't, he wasn't reading about it in the news and preferred not to know.
Now, this isn't Brett Favre's only link to the welfare fund case, is it? Right? We understand.
Right.
So talk about the concussion research firm that you've been writing about as well.
Right. So it gets a bit complicated, but there was a concussion research firm that was developing a cure for concussions. It was supposed to mitigate some of the harmful effects in the brain after a concussion. And Favre was a big proponent of this and was a sponsor for the company. And there were actually some meetings at Brett Favre's home where the welfare officials were discussing potentially Mississippi investing in this venture. And eventually $2 million in welfare money did go to the company. And that is the basis for the criminal charges against the nonprofit owners.
Do you know which welfare officials were involved?
So the Department of Human Services, the former director, was at the meeting, according to my sources, and he was also indicted, as well as the owner of the nonprofit, Nancy New.
And talk about the others involved, the main ones involved in the welfare scandal here that we're talking about.
So it was 6 people indicted initially. So the former head of the agency, John Davis, the owner, Nancy New, of the nonprofit, her son, Zach New, and then a couple of other employees, as well as a former professional wrestler, Brett DiBiase.
What's going to happen next in the case, or where are we going from here?
So we're still awaiting trial in 5 of the 6 cases. The only person who's changed their plea to guilty so far was Brett DiBiase. He pled guilty back in December, and basically agreed to testify, for the state against the other folks involved. So we're still waiting to see if, what kind of sentence he'll receive, and the rest are just awaiting trial.
So you're reporting, you're saying the people that received the money, that they may not have to be responsible because they didn't know that it was coming from TANF funds. Right.
So the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program, it was created in the 90s during welfare reform, and it replaced the former entitlement you would think of as the welfare check. So when they created TANF, the federal government put really lax regulations on how that money can be spent. And so basically, a portion of it should be going to families through direct cash assistance, but the rest can be spent on different programming for people in poverty, like workforce development or after-school programs, that kind of thing. And so when John Davis got into when he became director of DHS, he really loosened the way that these grants were administered and started kind of shelling the money out. And the nonprofit received tens of millions of dollars. And at that point, they could give it to people, make payments without really having to report them back to the agency. and that's how the money was so poorly accounted for. So if you had received money from a nonprofit, you didn't necessarily know where it was coming from. The funds of the nonprofit had been kind of like commingled together. So you didn't know if you were receiving private money or public money. And in that way, the state auditor has said that, some folks who have received welfare money, they are not going to be held liable for that because they didn't know.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, what do you see coming out of all this?
Well, we've already seen the agency change some of its regulations around how this money is administered. So you've got a lot more reporting requirements on the subgrantees, and they're going through RFP processes or they're bidding these grants out. So there's a lot more defined process about how they decide who gets the money. So you're already seeing that. And then this last legislative session, lawmakers actually increased the amount of money that poor families can receive through this program, through the cash assistance portion of the program. And so I think there you're going to see more of the money actually getting to families as opposed to these other ancillary services.
You think Brett Favre will pay that $600,000?
I do, yeah. I think so. He said he was going to, so I hope so.
All right. Anna Wolfe.
Thank you.
Today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And we'll be right back. Big thanks to Mississippi Today's Anna Wolfe for joining us this week, and Timothy Rush with the Mississippi Department of Employment Security. We'll be back next weekend with more of the political and current affairs coverage that you demand. I'm Byron Brown. From all of us here at 12 News, make it a great weekend.